Alright, quick video today. I have bought myself a new watch. I just bought this wristwatch right here on eBay. I decided to go ahead and order it. I wore a wristwatch for years and years and years, starting when I was about 8 years old. I got a nice little Timex wristwatch. Myself and my older brother both got wristwatches, I do believe. That was a long time ago. But I believe we both got a Timex wristwatch with a leather type band. They were really cheap and there wasn't much to them. They were basically just like this right here, except my Timex glowed in the dark. The hands and the numbers glowed in the dark. And I believe Mom wanted my brother John and I to have a wristwatch, as we were the older children, and she wanted us to have a wristwatch so we could learn, to tell time and be responsible and all that. I don't know how long that watch lasted, but I loved it. I got a picture here of when in 1969 I was 9 years old. So I'm assuming that I got it when I was about 8. And I'm wearing the watch here. We're at a state fair, the Del Norte County State Fair. And I don't know how long I had that watch, but I always had watches after that. I had a paper route from about 12 years old and on for a number of years, so I bought a watch here and there. And I also had watches in my 20s. And when I went to work in the food service industry, I still wore a watch, and I got to where I would constantly have to take the watch off, because in the food service industry you are washing your hands a lot. You're just constantly having to scrub up, and especially in my first line cooking job, working around a deep fryer, you just had grease everywhere. And at some point I got to the point to where I just stopped wearing a watch. And because I was just constantly always having to take it off and on, and it got to be a really big hassle. So by probably 95, I was no longer wearing a watch. I did have a pretty nice Bulova wristwatch, which had been my grandfather's on my dad's side. And when he got pretty sick in 1989, I guess it was. Actually, it was before that. It was more like the mid-80s that he got sick and was no longer able to live on his own. We went over and kind of, gathered up stuff there at his place. And my dad found a Bulova wristwatch that had been his dad's. And my grandparents on my dad's side, they spent a lot of time in Reno and Las Vegas, because that's just what they did. And they didn't buy cheap stuff whatsoever. So the watch didn't work. It was all crummy looking inside. Everything was all faded. So my dad just gave it to me and asked me if I wanted it after he made sure it didn't work. And so I took it. And as I got to looking at it, I realized that watch had what appeared to be a stone in the 9, in the 3, in the 6. And it wouldn't be until I took it to a jeweler and he cleaned it all up. It said it had 17 jewels in it, and it had a diamond at the 9, the 3, and the 6. So it was likely a very expensive watch that my grandfather had. But it no longer worked. I paid $95 to have it all kind of rebuilt and running again. And I wore that watch for quite a while after that. But I honestly don't know what ever happened to it, because I certainly don't have any watch around here. And I also had a pretty expensive Timex quartz watch, which had some gold in it. And I don't know whatever happened to that one either. So both those watches are gone. So I was just thinking the other day, now that I'm not working as a cook and washing my hands 42 times a day, I should try wearing a watch again. So this one arrived in the mail yesterday. It was extremely inexpensive. It cost right at $20 for this. It's got a great big face on it. It seems to be really popular with the older crowd like me that have trouble seeing. It doesn't glow in the dark like my original Timex did. I remember I was so blown away about that original Timex. It was a gift when I was 8 years old because the hands and the numbers glowed in the dark. And it was so thrilling to go to bed and get underneath the covers where it was dark and constantly be looking at the watch because it glowed in the dark. It was quite thrilling. So I wore this yesterday. I've worn it since about this time yesterday. It's keeping pretty good time, it looks like. And so hopefully I can get used to wearing a watch again now that I'm not washing my hands and arms so much. So I just thought I would share that. Back to wearing a watch after about 20 or so years. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.